Greetings to all our precious viewers. Excitement when we meet like this around the family tree. We want to discuss a topic that will benefit us as individuals, families, and nations. What can we do to make things better? That's the topic. First, we have to look at things that are not beneficial to the nation and its people. We must love, respect, and work together with each other. Encourage our youths to adopt a different lifestyle. They must learn to respect themselves first, authority, adults in the family and the nation also. Learn to speak positive things about themselves and the nation. Value what has been given to us by our parents and foreparents. We must we must be agents of change. And I repeat this: we must be agents of change. Your choices. God bless you, and God continue to bless beautiful Guyana. Thank you. Stay tuned.
It is argued, and we have heard this before, that the family is the basic unit of society. As Reverend Singh made mention just now, we mentioned the family. So it is said that we have, from families, we have neighborhoods. From neighborhoods, we have communities. And from the communities, we have a nation. And so Guyana is a diverse place. We have families from all kinds of settings, racial settings. And that's a good thing because sometimes I sit and I imagine if everybody looked the same way, the world might have been a boring place, the nation might have been a boring place. But diversity brings color, and think about a kaleidoscope of colors, brightness, and so on. But there must be some elements that must be prevailing if we're going to enjoy that diversity. There are some words that must be taught, regardless of whichever racial group you're from. Think about if every family in this nation, they teach their children to respect the other group, whatever is the racial group. Respect that group. Develop an appreciation for the contributions of that group. Think about that. Think about that. I'm talking about across families now. I'm not talking about confining any idea to a particular group across the families. This is the teaching. Love your fellow man. Human beings are all valuable people. They have value. God created them. And so we should love them. We should show respect for them. We must be able to work together as a group for the betterment of our nation, for the development of our nation. So the idea of teaching at a very tender age. And so I think lots of times we still suspect each other. There's lots of suspicion going on. And because of this suspicion, the barriers that are there, the stereotypical barriers, are not being broken down. They're still standing. We have to break down those barriers. And one of the chief ways in terms of breaking those barriers down, we have to start talking to our children. And even as adults, we have to change the narrative. We have to speak positive, speak a word of positivity over the nation. And a program like this what we're talking about, or what we're suggesting. We know we're not going to deceive ourselves. We know that this is not an overnight thing. This has to be an exercise that will take time. But why can't we say, you know what, like in the classroom, the teacher asks a question, you put your hands up and say, you know what, sir, miss, I would like to engage in some introspection and self examination. I have done those things, and I realize that I'm in the balance. I've been found wanting, and as of today, I am changing my attitude and my ways. We know attitudinal change, those things don't take place easily. Anybody who do research will tell you the worst, the most difficult thing to change is attitude. You could change numbers, you could change, but when it comes to attitude, that's a different thing because that has to do with the person, introspection and self-examination. Guyana, we can do it if we stop suspecting each other and develop a desire to work for one another through love and respect. Gentlemen.
We have learned by looking at many, many, many programs. We also know that you watch, of many of you look at us. We just need 20 minutes of your time today. Yes, it has come to my knowledge that some of you look at us while you're consuming a beer or whatever the case might be, because that's your context. That's where you are liming in the afternoon when this program is shown. You can access this program anytime on Facebook or YouTube. I allow the younger ones to talk to us about that. But you have just heard us. What can we do to make our nation better? The first thing I'd like to advise, if we remember the Michael Jackson song, I'm looking at the man in the mirror and I'm asking him to change his ways. Let's look at the man in the mirror. I would like to posit, no, you're not criticizing the man in the mirror. You're not saying what he's not doing, and just look at him. Some of us can't even do that, but we want to encourage you. The change must come from within first. It must really come from within. Within. So whether the change is mindset or heart, we want to really encourage. If we are going to attempt this huge task of making things better, we have to make the change within.
Bishop,
I like the
I agree
perspective.
with what you said concerning introspection. And this program that we've started here, it is retracing to my mind the steps of the late Father Archibald Luker, who wrote the words for a national anthem. And at the base of the national anthem, he recognizes the importance of God helping us to make this nation better. And he says, God, guard you, great mother, and make us to be more worthy of our heritage, land of the free. And so we have tried over the years, I believe, so many things. But as we do a greater introspection, the realization must dawn upon us that we need the help of God if we're going to make things better in this nation. With the help of God, we will see and recognize the importance of each other. We will see, I have flowing through my veins, if it was possible for me to separate them, several ethnicity. And so it behoves me not to discriminate against any particular ethnicity, because I might look one way, I have a name that suggests something, but that is not who I am. I'm a Guyanese, one that has several ethnicity flowing through my vein. So as we do the deep and a greater introspection, it will help us to recognize the importance and the value of each other. This is one land of 6 people, united and free. And it's time that we do things differently so that we can make this nation better.
I love this discussion because what it does is not just helping me to see me in the mirror, but for real change to take place, for me to make that decision, to make that change. You know, we are so accustomed many times trying to change other people. Remind me of the scripture that speaks about the mote in the eye and the beam in the eye, the one with the beam trying to take out the mote. But it is personal. I have to, for me to determine what I can do to make things better, I have to make a personal decision. I will adjust my thinking. I will adjust my actions. I have to. And I must recognize that there are things about me that requires change. That's the only way it is going to be different. For example, Dr. Lee spoke just now about ethnicity. I have to examine myself how I treat and see others of different ethnicity. I have to examine how I filter the information I get. Do I filter it through the lens of ethnicity? How do I respond in times of need? Where do I help? And it is so personal that if I can get me right, I am sure I will be able to be of a positive influence to somebody else's life. And so may God help me to see me.
And if you start, Reverend Asano, you're one person. I like that. If you start, and then I heard you, and I begin, and then Bishop heard you, and he begins, you're seeing where I'm going. This is it. It's called personal responsibility. That's all. You're hearing, and then you make a determination that I will do an introspection, and I, as Reverend Hudson said, will lift my hands and say, Miss, Sir, I have been found wanting, and I commit today to not treat people the way I have been treating them, to not look at people the way I've been looking at them, to not judge, but to help, but to build up, but to encourage. I remember I was speaking with some friends a few years ago, and we were speaking about the bus situation, the overloading of the minibuses on the roads of Guyana. And I was saying, why are we encouraging it? That was the question I asked. We were just sitting down talking. Why are we encouraging it? And one of the responses were, Kurt, relax yourself, man. You know, Guyana with you know what's happening in Guyana. And everyone says that. Everyone says that. So, but if you stop doing it, if you stop paying that bribe, if you stop speeding so you don't have to be, the police wouldn't have to stop you. If you stop hitting, if you stop disrespecting, if you stop, don't worry with Guyana, this is Guyana, and everyone is doing it. You, personal responsibility. If you stop doing it and I stop, begin not to do it, and everyone, and we build a new culture, a whole new beginning. There's a whole transformation, not a change, but a transformation. And then all of us will be happy. We'll have peace of mind. We won't have to worry and we won't have to think, why is this again? Why this accident that take 3, 4, 5, 6 lives? Why are the trucks speeding? You can do something about that, policeman. You can do something about that, citizen. Take his license number. It begins with you, personal responsibility.
You know, Pastor Kurt, I love the approach of personal responsibility. But you know, as the saying goes, it's easier said than done. But, you know, for some of us, learning how to improve ourselves is exciting, it's motivating. But for some of us, it is overwhelming, it's daunting. But the encouragement today is to take personal responsibility. It's a personal journey that requires a willingness to even experience discomfort. You know, coming out of our comfort zone. Wherever you're comfortable with, that's your comfort zone. And the encouragement is to step out. Experience that change that we're talking about. And the whole notion of behavior change can be a long process. But it doesn't have to be grueling. It can begin with a series of small habit changes like you were mentioning earlier, Pastor Court. Like taking a 5 minute in every day, 5 minutes in every day to be more mindful. Learning how to improve ourselves, it really has endless benefits. But we have to come to that place where we take responsibility and we take action. You know, most of us are quite familiar with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which says you must have your basic needs met before you can achieve your goals for self-improvement. And that means a simple thing like making time for rest, sleep, rest. It's so important because if we are constantly going, we are exhausted mentally, we cannot make the kinds of decision and contribution that is needed in our nation. So there are some simple things, some simple habit changes that we can do that will help us to achieve so much, starting at the individual level, and then we can be able to encourage and inspire others to even do the same or go beyond what we might have been doing.
When I think about what we can do to make things better, I think about perspective. I was watching a military trainer, something with special forces, and what he said is that he told his soldiers that he was training that he will not kill them. He's already been through the training, but he will push them to the edge. But the way that they're going to complete the training is by understanding the short-term goals and how they play into the long-term goals. So when you wake up, focus on your breakfast, then focus on your training, then focus on this. Because some of us have big visions and big passions, and we feel the purpose of God in our life. And when you look at everything, it looks too big. And if we consider everything as it will roll out over time, it looks impossible. So what the instructor said, he said, every step is going to be very hard, but you just focus on completing each step one at a time.
Mhm.
You understand where the end goal is, but just focus on what is immediately in front of you. So when it comes to strategic planning, when it comes to making things better, you could have in your mind something big. You could have a clear vision of what you want to achieve at the end. And then what you need to do is to break it down into different steps. And then you need to work on each individual step and make the best out of each step. And a good way to do it is using things like SMART goals. That's a good one. Another good one is building a team around you. And of course, before you do any of that, just ensure you're headed in the right direction. So of course, pray to God and ask him for guidance and wisdom, because you don't want to be working hard and going in the wrong direction. Right? Because
Excellent,
that could be painful.
excellent observations. And I'm sitting here and to build on what Martin would have said, let's just bring everything back. Now you have to ask yourself, what does it mean to be better and for whom? That will give you a sense of direction when you understand what it means. It doesn't mean achieving perfection or anything of that nature. To make things better, to be better, it speaks to progress. You know, it was Aristotle who posited that better it lies in living a virtuous life, one where our actions serve both ourselves and our future generations. And then you look at it for whom? You look at the individual, you look at the community, then you look at future generational responsibility. That will ease your task because there are certain things that you could achieve as an individual. Then there are certain things that needs to be better from the community level. And then there are certain things that need to be better from the governmental level so that we can secure the future generations. Because when you look at it for a student living in the hinterland, for instance, their better might mean more access to technology and scholarships and so on. But in order to access technology and scholarship, that would be a responsibility of the government. But that student still has the responsibility to study when that time comes. So having an appreciation of what it means to be better will help you set your goal and your direction in the right path. And that is a good place to start. So you won't feel overwhelmed. You won't see or think that you have the world on your shoulder. You'll have a clear vision and a defined path to start the change that you need to see.
Dr. Keisha, welcome. And, Dr. Keisha is a medical doctor, and she has been serving in the hinterland in our country. I think her assignment brings her back to the coast, and she is a valued member of this team. We've missed her for 2 years. Dr. Keisha, do you have a word?
Thank you indeed. I'd like to say that everyone is important. We need to stop thinking that a solution lies in a particular group or organization and understand that a solution is embedded in you. Everyone has a role to play if we are to ensure that things are better. Your forum might not be on a national level. Your forum might be within your home. Understand where you can make an impact does not matter, but you are to make that impact. Every decision that you make, let it be streamlined to make a difference. And I dare challenge you to start with that even in your home. A happier home would definitely mean a happier nation. So while you're thinking, I don't have the platform where everybody can see me, that is not important. What is important is to use your space and ensure that at the end of the day, your objective is not self-centered, that at the end of the day, all of the persons around you are able to benefit. Value yourself. When you value you, it's a ripple effect. You treat yourself well, others around you would begin to treat themselves well. So you have the opportunity, go ahead and not just depend on other persons to make things better for you. Let's do it together.
Limar, you made mention of the fact that there are some things that are done better as a team rather than as an individual, and I think that's a powerful postulation. I think that the whole issue of strengthening community engagement is so important if we're talking about doing things better. The issue of bringing people together from the community for the purpose of transformation. And I reflect in Fresno, California, during the time I spent there doing the doctoral immersion. There was a school called the Susan B. Elementary School. The Susan B. Elementary School. It was the worst school, they say, in California. It's an elementary school. And you know what those people did? They had the policemen. They had a caucus with policemen, firemen, teachers, people from the city council or the council or whatever you call it. And they all came together. Then they had retired teachers also. They brought them together and said, you know what, we need to change this status quo. You wouldn't want to see what happens now at Susan B. Elementary School, the kinds of cars that pull up there with their children and so on. That school has been transformed. And that has happened because a group of people decided, watch, we're going to take this bull by the horn and we're going to turn it upside down and we're going to make something good of this place. And so these people, they were diverse. I'm not talking about you had Hispanics, you had blacks and Caucasian people all came together because they saw a need and they did something to change the status quo. We can adopt those principles too. We don't have to sit down and wait for somebody to give us direction all the time. There are things that we have, there are ideas that we have. We just could put those ideas on the table, mobilize people, and for the purpose of transformation.
It's captured in one of our national songs, Let us cooperate for Guyana. Each man must do his bit with his comrade. Each man must do his bit for this land. And so if we are able, I mean, there's so many wonderful things. There's so many transformative things that have been written of how we need to move forward, how we need to make this land better. But again, I want to come back to the point that we've all been making so long, is that it needs to start with the individual. It needs to start with me. I need to make that change, and hopefully it will be transcended and it would move on to others. I need to start with me.
You know, I'm really happy that we've used this program to look in, which is very, very critical. We're putting the spotlight on us. And I'm thinking, you know, about the same team. In order to make things better, I must get better. And in order for me to get better, I gotta be connected to the source of betterment. We can't leave God out of this equation at all, you know, because it's through him that our lives are changed, our mindset is changed. And I'm thinking about a scripture. This is a very practical scripture here, Colossians chapter 4. It says, Masters, give unto your servants that which is just and equal, knowing that you have a master in heaven. So it's perspective. You're connected, you're going to ensure that you follow through, because there's a God that superintends, that will push us. It's always pushing us to get better. Amen.
How could I do better? It's a searching question. And yes, it's a certain question that you must answer. I must answer. We heard about diversity. We heard about trust. We heard about respect. We heard about the value of collaboration. We heard about the need for intergenerational dialogue. All these are concepts that we are going to touch in the upcoming weeks. But this thing begins with you. Let us make a decision that in 2025, we'll do better. This is Choices. We are committed to that question. God bless you.
We thank you for joining us on Choices today. Remember, you can join us at First Assembly, LNP Durban Street, Workmanville, Georgetown, Guyana, for any of our special services. I'm Celacia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.